Hey guys, my name is Vishal and the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro models are set to release in just a couple of days, and I wanted to make this video to talk about some of the key differences between these two devices so you guys can make an informed decision about which option you want to purchase for your next iPhone upgrade. I'm going to be talking about the key differences as well as what option I'm going to be getting as well, so stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about design. Let's talk about similarities first. So the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro overall have the same shape, including a flat edge design on both, as well as a camera bump, although the iPhone 13 has a smaller camera bump than the iPhone 13 Pro. They both include the ceramic shield front glass, which is IP68 water resistant, which means you can drop your phone into water without it getting too damaged, and you should be able to repair it. There is a new notch on both of these devices as well. Both the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro models have a 20% smaller notch, and that was, I think, mainly due to Apple having redesigned how the packaging looks and moving the microphone slightly upwards as well. So those are the similarities between the design. Let's talk about some of the differences. Well, the iPhone 13 Pro will come with a surgical stainless steel bands rather than the aluminum that you find on the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 Pro will also have a larger camera bump. Now I know this is a negative, but it is still a difference. The 13 Pro will have a larger camera bump. This is mainly because of the additional camera, the 77mm telephoto lens on the back. It's not only wider and taller, it's also thicker, so that's something that you're going to have to think about when you're looking at cases and when you're looking at having this on a table or something like that. It's something that can definitely affect your decision. Alright, next up we have the technical specs, and let's start by first talking about the A15 Bionic chipset. Now, in terms of similarities, the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro both come with the A15 Bionic chipset, and they both have a 6-core CPU in that chipset as well. The one difference is that the iPhone 13 Pro will have one extra GPU core. They will actually have 5 GPU cores in the iPhone 13 Pro than the iPhone 13, which only has 4. Next up is the display. Now there are a few differences. One being the iPhone 13 will only come with the 60 Hz refresh rate screen, whereas the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max versions will come with a 120 Hz screen, which uses something called ProMotion to actively adapt to what you're doing on the phone, so that you can, if you're scrolling through a web page, when you stop scrolling it will go back to like 10 Hz, whereas if you start scrolling it will go up to 20 Hz. So it's adaptive and it's up to 120 Hz. The next thing is the brightness between the two screens. So the iPhone 13 will have slightly higher brightness. It will have a typical brightness of 1000 nits versus the iPhone 13, which will only have 800 nits typical brightness, but both will go all the way up to 1200 nits of brightness when using HDR. Next up, we have the biggest difference between the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro models, which is the camera. Now, in terms of similarities, we have a 12 megapixel wide and ultra wide cameras on the rear of the device, as well as a 12 megapixel true depth camera on the front. Now, the differences will be that the iPhone 13 has one extra camera, and this is the 77mm telephoto camera. In addition to that, there was actually something that, again, Apple didn't really talk about in their event, which was the optical zoom versus digital zoom between the iPhone 13 Pro and the 13. So in terms of optical zoom, which is the zoom that you get mechanically, which is the real zoom, on the 13 Pro, you will have up to 3 times optical zoom in, 2 times optical zoom out, and a total of 6 times zoom range. And also, in addition to that, you will have about 15 times digital zoom, which is the fake zoom or software zoom, versus the iPhone 13, where you'll have only 2 times optical zoom out. There's no optical zoom in, and the digital zoom is only up to 5 times. Alright, that's it for the comparison between the 13 and the 13 Pro. Again, the major differences were an extra GPU core, 120 Hz refresh rate screen versus 60 Hz. You have a slightly brighter screen at 1000 nits versus 800 nits typically, as well as some cool features like LiDAR the ability to use ProMotion for the 120 Hz refresh rate screen, as well as ProRes video, so to have that end-to-end workflow. So all those put together give that extra little bit of advancement to the iPhone 13 Pro. Now, whether you should get it or not, I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. I've given you guys the information, and you guys can choose which one you wanna get. For me personally, I'm gonna stick with the iPhone 13. I think that's enough for me. I'm not gonna be using my iPhone 13 to really make video, although I could use it, but I'm not going to use it to make videos, so that's just going to be for my daily driver. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys took something away from this video and learned something, and now can make a more informed decision on which iPhone that you're going to choose to get when you upgrade your iPhone. And if you liked the video, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.